What a day yesterday, huh? Did they spray our skies with chemtrails? They've been taking a break here last couple days, north central Florida. Welcome to the Bob Tuskin Show, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight. Many of you may have heard by now that I was assaulted yesterday at a bioterrorism briefing held by Senator Bob Graham, who's been making the rounds on the lamestream media, talking about 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. Are you sick of it yet, like I am, folks? Are you sick of them rubbing this in our faces? On tonight's show, we'll be hanging out with Popeye from Federal Jack. Chris Gio might come in to hang out. And also your phone calls, 866-841-1065. Open lines the entire broadcast. I want to hear what happened yesterday, what you did, what took place for you. I want to hear about any news that you want to talk about. Anything you want, 866-841-1065. And Popeye, what did you do, like 12 hours of 9/11 radio yesterday?
Yeah, I did exactly 12 hours of radio yesterday. And as soon as I got off the radio, I passed out. I was so tired.
Weren't you just sick of it by then? The whole day I felt nauseous.
Well, no, what made me feel nauseous was like 6 o'clock in the morning when I was still up doing video editing. And I was like, let me see what they're putting on, because I knew by 6:30 in the morning they'd have all the specials, because, by then, according to the official timeline, the terrorists were already on their way to the airport and everything else. So, and right on cue, man, I turned it on, and it didn't matter if it was MSNBC, Fox, CNN, it was all the same crap. And it was just, remember the fear, remember? And then they were like laying out, it was almost like they had the 9/11 Commission report in front of them, and you just couldn't see them reading from it, because it was just logical fallacy after logical fallacy after logical fallacy.
Yeah, well, that's more of the same, and that's what we'll talk about for most of the show tonight. We have a clip of Senator Bob Graham going on Mox News and talking about 9/11 and how he supports a new investigation, but not because of the collapse of Building 7, which I find to be curious. He believes that the hijacker story is legit, and so many other things that he's gatekeeping on. It's time we receive, 10 years later, some accountability from these powers that shouldn't be. But of course they ran. There was a concerted effort to block me from talking to him. I did nothing out of line. I waited my turn peacefully. And of course, because I wanted to ask some tough questions, they assaulted me. And who assaulted me? Well, it was the fluoride drinking, the BPA using feminine lackeys. His little minions, if you will. Okay? And these weren't bodyguards. These weren't police. This wasn't security. This was average Joe Blow, who was a little conspiracy nerd, or excuse me, not conspiracy, who's a little political nerd who will do anything to... Anti-conspiracy nerds. And they have the audacity of putting their hands on me. Anyways, folks, it is on video, and it will be up on the website at some point in the near future. And I'm also going to play some clips from the actual encounter. So we'll do all that on tonight's show, folks. It's the Bob Tuskin Show. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, Popeye, we're going to jump into this Senator Bob Graham, former governor of the state of Florida, major 9/11 BS artist. We'll talk to him. Well, no, we're not going to talk to him. I already talked to him. We'll listen to his recording on Mox News, and then we'll also play some of the excerpts from my confrontation with him yesterday, as well as the excerpts from my confrontation with him in April. But before we do that, I would like to quote from an article that just came out about the 9/11 truth event that I attended with Richard Gage and Luke Rudowski in Atlanta. And Popeye, our friend and colleague from Skeptical Humanities, or whatever the hell. What's the website? I don't know if you can
call him our colleague. I think it's called Skeptical Humanities.
Skeptical Humanities. Skeptical Inquirer is the magazine he works for, I guess. And, well, just released an article highlighting some of the things that we talked about at the conference. And why don't we take a look at the portion in which I'll mention. I actually got an interview which you can find the unedited version on our YouTube channel. Just Google Bob Tuskin, Skeptical Inquirer. Check this out. This is what he says. One of the characteristics of a self-sustaining conspiracy theory is an alternative set of facts that are exclusive to the conspiracist's narrative. These claims of facts are repeated endlessly, and any explanation that does not accept these assertions as true is rejected out of hand. When I work my way up to a group of people talking at the front of the church, I find that I am talking to two of them, Bob Tuskin from BobTuskin.com in the Intel Hub, and Ed Sanders from Gators 9/11 Truth of Gainesville, Florida. I asked them about what brought them so far from home. Well, we wouldn't miss this for the world, Bob says. People drive to all sorts of things. For example, for concerts, for sporting events, for Disney World, whatever it may be. And we understand that people may want to use their free time and spend time. Listen, I don't think he quoted me exactly here because this doesn't make very much sense when I'm reading this, but this is roughly what I said. He says their free time to spend with their friends and family and recreation and hang out, but something like this is, in our opinion, something that should be warranted. How the hell did he write this? Okay, I'm just going to read it verbatim rather than changing how he wrote it, and if it's awkwardly written, that's his fault. He says, but something like this, and this is supposed to be a quote of something I said, and I know I didn't say it this retarded, but he says, but something like this, in our opinion, should warrant our attention received. Here's the other problem. It's too small. Hold on. All right. Here we go. Let's try this again. Take 3, Popeye. You ready? There we go. He says, or this is what I'm saying. He says that I say, this is a tongue twister, that people drive all over to go see things. They spend their free time with their friends and family and recreation and whatnot. But something like this, in our opinion, should warrant our attention more so because right now, 10 years later, almost from 9/11/2001, we still have not received the legitimate mainstream investigation to the largest crime in our lifetimes. That's not what I said. You know what this is going to make me do, Popeye? Play the clip. Fact check this jerk.
You know what the problem is with this guy, okay?
He's changing things to make it sound ridiculous.
Well, when he does this every week, he attacks. Look, every week I'm included in his weekly attack, and this week it was he quoted he linked to 2 articles, and one of them was about the fact that they arrested the van full of Israelis by the GW Bridge with a van full of C4 explosives, which I told you about time and time again. I heard on the radio, and I quoted this in my little write-up on it. And I didn't read I didn't even bother to read the full little posting, but just from what I could see alone that was, linked back to me, he tries to say that this news report was discredited, and later on they admitted that this was wrong 20 minutes after they aired it. That's not the only news report. I only aired one news report. There's multiple reports. The van was picked up when the sun was still up, okay? The news report that I showed was from later on in the evening at like 11 or quarter after 11, something around there, around 11 o'clock at night. And he's trying to say that 20 minutes after this report, that's a lie. You can tell me that, maybe if someone told me hearsay or whatever, and then you show me proof or whatever, I heard it. How are you going to – I put it in the write-up, but he doesn't include that. He just tries to quote a little piece of the clip and make it sound like I'm blowing it out of proportion, and that's what this guy does. That's not being skeptical.
Well, the wording that he wrote here is all messed up. Let me play you the exact clip, and then let's read his exact phrasing here in his article, which makes little sense. Here's the clip.
and the movie theater's not on the truth.
That's an analogy.
All right, sorry about the audio quality, but bear with us.
What brings you so hard about this? Well, we wouldn't miss this for the world. You know, people drive to all sorts of things, concerts, sporting events, Disney World, whatever it may be. And we understand people want to enjoy their free time and spend time with friends and family and recreation and whatnot. But something like this, in our opinion, should warrant our attention more so, because right now, 10 years later almost from 9/11 in 2001, we still have not received a legitimate mainstream investigation into the largest crime in our lifetime. In addition to that, there's very few people amongst us that are willing to stand up to this because of the constant blackout by the mainstream media and constant skewing of the facts.
Talk about omitting things.
We know what the facts are. We know buildings 7 fell in baseball speed. We know that there's a consensus of architects and engineers as well as other like-minded individuals who are willing to zero out all the evidence and not just look at the skewed perspective from the Zionist controlled mainstream media. Like Bob said, I know.
All right, well, there you go.
Dude, talk about taking you out of context. He completely cut out like half of what you said and pieced together the beginning and the end to make it sound like some unintelligible, retarded comment. That's what this guy does.
Well, I had to remember. I mean, he got it basically right, but the way it was written
but
was...
he worded it. He read
exactly.
it. He read it. Listen to me. He wrote it that he left out the part where you said 9/11 was, should be reinvestigated and all that. He didn't include that. He took the tail end of what you said, and he took the beginning of what you said, and he put the two together, and he left out like one of the most important pieces that you can't take a portion, a little soundbite. I mean, you can, but if you want to be an honest journalist, you shouldn't take a portion of a soundbite and another portion and remix them together. That's the kind of stuff that Fox, CNN, and MSNBC
Well,
does.
here's the best part of this. He didn't fact check us. All he did here in the article was quote what we said. That's all he did.
He doesn't do any fact checking.
He didn't even do anything but quote what we said, Popeye. That was it. All right, Popeye, we got to take a quick break, man. We'll be right back. All right, Popeye, let's jump right back into it. So why don't we go ahead and listen to what this crook had to say about 9/11 recently, and then I'll play some excerpts from my confrontation with him, both the one in April and our most recent confrontation. Senator Bob Graham, my old friend, and I had a nice rendezvous after his long, lengthy talk.
He's Bob's chum.
Oh, he's my chum. After a long, lengthy talk about the inevitable biohazard attack on us all. If you were there, folks, which you will be there because we're going to release all the footage that we took, which is the beauty of the internet, and our YouTube channel, Not For Sale, number 2 NWO, linked up to bobtuskin.com and theintelhub.com. Of course, and if you were not there, well, you'll be shocked to see how he is pushing this biological attack, this inevitable biological attack. Bob Graham was behind the Weapons of Mass Destruction Senatorial Committee, as well as all sorts of other things. He was a co-chairman into the inquiry about 9/11. And, well, he's back at it. He released a book in which he completely omitted Building 7 and some of the questions I brought up. Who's counting? All right, here's the clip from his most recent propaganda spin piece.
Well, remembrance and speculation as our nation honors the victims of September 11th and once again mourns their passing. New questions emerging about who we really can trust. Good Monday afternoon to you. I am Dylan Radigan in New York, and today the Ground Zero Memorial officially opened to the public.
All right, Puppy, who is Dylan Radigan? I don't know who the hell this guy is.
He's a MSNBC, I guess you'd call him commentator, whatever. He's got his own show. He's been on for a couple of years now.
Okay. I don't know who the hell he is. So...
He once in a while he rants, but you can tell as soon as he does one of his, he goes off. Usually the next couple of days later, he's got like 3 or 4 days off, and I'm sure he gets pulled into the office and gets told to shut up. So
stick to the script, Dylan.
Look what they did to Cenk Uygur.
Oh man. Well, I want to talk about that at some point on the show tonight because I have an announcement that I want to make, and I want to share with all of our listeners that is really important. So if you can get the word out and get as many people as listening tonight as possible, I'd appreciate it. It's always great to have a lot of people listening, but also I have a very important announcement I want to make in reference to that. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I will be making that at some point in the second hour of tonight's show. But let's go back to this little interview that Dylan Radigan, whoever the hell he is, did with Bob Graham, Senator and Gatekeeper Extraordinaire. Here it is.
Tonight, Congress will gather on the steps of the Capitol, just as they did after the attacks. And while the psychological scars do remain, so too do questions, too many and too abundant.
That's right.
About the actions of our own government, both before and after the attacks. You and I both know there has been a lot of conspiracy talk about 9/11 over the past decade. But there is one theory that has hard evidence to back it up. It involves the Saudi royal family. A unrelated Saudi family connected to it, a quick getaway, a secret investigation that no one, not Congress, not the 9/11 Commission, no one knew about, was never introduced into the research field until now. It was mentioned on this program first on Friday. I wanted to amplify it today as our lead. With us to expand, former Senator Bob Graham, who co-chaired the Congressional 9/11 Inquiry, which sent its report to the 9/11 Commission. He was ultimately forced to write this book, which I suggest you read. It's called Keys to the Kingdom.
He was forced to write that book, Popeye. It is a fiction. It's a fiction.
So well, that tells you right there. that they just admitted that was maybe that was
to write it, and
maybe that was Radigan's way of getting the truth out. You know, maybe he's telling you somebody put a gun to Bob Graham's head and went, write this piece of crap book filled with
lies. Hey, Popeye, can you hear that?
Are they coming to get you?
I mean, they're banging again. My stinking neighbors are banging again.
I think they're putting cameras in.
Either they're chopping up something on a cutting board.
Maybe it's a human.
I don't know what the heck they're doing.
You do live in a bad area, Bob. I mean,
very bad area, and an undisclosed ghetto somewhere in Florida.
Well, that's the only place you'd be safe, Bob, because the New World Order would never go to a place like that.
Well, the stuck-up people, they don't like me very much. You know, the country club folks.
Oh, well, Miffy and Buffy. Gee, that's not really a big loss.
Miffy and Buffy. But let's rewind this just to make sure I wasn't hearing things. He said that he was forced to write this book and that it is a fiction.
And former Senator Bob Graham, who co-chaired the Congressional 9/11 Inquiry, which sent its report to the 9/11 Commission. He was ultimately forced to write this book, which I suggest you read. It's called Keys to the Kingdom. It was written as a fiction to avoid being forced through intelligence and security services to redact his Saudi concerns to connections to terrorist funding. Rejoining us from a Friday, the man who broke the story of the never-reported Saudi family in Florida tied to the terrorists, Anthony Summers. His recently published book, The 11th Day. It is a pleasure to welcome both of them back to this program. And Mr. Summers, please clarify for all of us what it is exactly that you've discovered and why it's relevant.
In a nutshell, I was following up a lead that I'd had during the writing of The 11th Day, but could only write a little on. After the book was published last week, I got to Florida and I located the counterterrorism agent who explained to me that there was a major investigation that involved very much the FBI, which has been completely concealed. The investigation concerned a Saudi couple who lived in a...
All right, so this is exactly what we talked about.
This is red herring crap.
Sure. And let's go back now to a clip of the confrontation that I had with Bob Graham originally here. Let me locate it, because actually that came up after I asked him about Building 7. We then talked about the Saudi connection, in which I said to him, yeah, supposedly the Saudis were, the hijackers rather, were all Saudi Arabian. Here's what that recording sounded like.
9/11 I wanted to talk with you about Building 7. Did you watch the footage of that third building? I not only watched it, I was there. You were there? Yeah. So what do you think about it? Because Larry Silverstein was on record. The building fell down at free fall speed. There's a lot of questions that the family members and architects and engineers have. Do you support a new investigation for 9/11?
Not for that reason. I don't think that's frankly.
What are the reasons you would support one?
Well, in fact,
Really?
Intelligence matters. Some of the issues that I think haven't been fully answered are what was the circumstances of the Saudi involvement.
Yeah, most of the hijackers were supposedly Saudi Arabian, correct?
That's a fact. 15 and 19.
All right, so he's pushing this hijacking BS with the Saudis being responsible for all of this. Okay, and this is their little distraction. That's why Michael Moore talked about the Saudi connection, but he wouldn't talk about Building 7 or anything else. So it's very disturbing to hear them use this Saudi card as this way to channel people away from some of the more credible of things to talk about.
Joshua Blakeney, who I know you're working on getting on your show, Bob, as a guest.
Well, we had him on last week for one segment for our special.
When you have him, well, I mean, when you get him on, when you get a chance to get him back on for like an hour or two, he'll be able to tell you and break down exactly how this whole Saudi connection thing is a red herring. It's covering up someone else's tracks. Okay, and the name of the group that they're covering up starts with an M and ends with a D.
Is it the Mooses? The Moose?
Close.
Moose?
Close.
Mossad?
Yeah, the Mossad. Or as they're commonly known as Mossad, yes.
That didn't end with the D. I was trying to think of something besides Mossad.
Yeah, no, that's the only thing. Yes, and he explains how, you have to understand the geopolitics of the Middle East. And I actually had him on my show like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he did 2 hours, about 2.5 hours of just this. And we covered exactly this stuff. And this whole Saudi thing, that's why they're pushing it. It's a red herring.
I totally agree. It's a distraction, red herring. And we'll continue to talk about this a little bit more when we get back in just a second, Pop. I have to take another quick break, and I got to run upstairs and yell at my neighbors. You hear them banging? You hear this? I swear to God, folks.
Police, open up.
Live radio. We'll be right back, if we make it. Alright, welcome back to the Bob Tuskin Show. We are taking calls, so if you want to interrupt our little banter here, feel free to call 866-841-1065. That's the toll-free number. Join us, 866-841-1065. Let's listen a little bit more of this Bob Graham red herring crap on MSNBC.
To get the groceries or to go to a movie. They'd completely abandoned it, leaving a newly bought PT Cruiser in the drive, cars in the drive.
What is the relevancy, though, of a given Saudi family's being at home or not?
Because after they'd gone and when the FBI investigated, according to multiple sources, including my counterterrorism agent, they found that the phone records, when analyzed, and most important, the gate records at the gated community.
Physical visitors.
Yes. Of cars that had come and gone and had to say who they were going to see. That they photographed their registration plates, they took their names in some cases, and they discovered from these sources that 3 of the pilot hijackers involved in the 9/11 attacks had all been in touch with the Saudis at that house.
Was there any evidence that that family had any relationship to the administration or government of Saudi Arabia?
The wife, there was a couple, and the wife of the couple talked extensively to a neighbor, saying that they were very important people in Saudi Arabia and they were connected to the royal family.
Congressman Graham, the information that we just heard, there's another family, I understand, in California that has had an association with the terrorists themselves. This information about Saudi families in America was not included or revealed to you at the time of your inquiry. Is that correct?
That's correct, Dylan. Actually, in San Diego, there was a man and a circle of his friends. The man was described by the FBI as being a Saudi agent. His purpose in San Diego was to monitor Saudi students to assure that they weren't plotting to overthrow the monarchy. But in January of 2000, he got a second assignment, which was to provide protection for two Saudis who had just entered the country. He was encouraged to invite them to come to San Diego. They did. He provided them money, a place to live, flight lessons, and an infrastructure of Muslims in San Diego to give them protection and anonymity. These two individuals were on the plane that flew into the Pentagon.
The two individuals
In California.
that were the host family in California perished on the Pentagon airplane, is that correct?
No, the two...
Did you hear his producer?
Entered the country.
I don't know if that was his producer or who that was.
Somebody chimed in out of nowhere and they were all quiet,
You hear them banging still?
That's Dylan Radigan's producer. He's trying to screw your show up because you're taking part of his
They're banging up
interview
there.
with Bob Graham.
So, I want to pause it because I'm just kind of sick of it all, Popeye. I'm sick of the whole 9/11 thing.
Well, don't you think it's kind of coincidental that Bob Graham, one of the 9/11 commissioners, goes out and starts pushing
Was he a commissioner?
Or wasn't he on the 9/11 commission?
I don't know. I want to say he was, but I don't.
I recall him being on there. I could be wrong, but I do recall Bob Graham being part of the 9/11 omission report.
9/11 commission. Let's see, is he on there? I'm gonna have to tell them I'm doing a show. They gotta stop banging. Co-chair of the 9/11 commission.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, I was correct.
He was the frickin' co-chair.
Well, there you go.
He
knows he's lying,
Can't name call.
He knows he's lying. He knows that this whole Saudi connection thing is a red herring. He knows that's to cover up the involvement of Mossad. That's how they cover their tracks. War by deception.
Well, you want to hear my most recent clip of me confronting him? Have I built up the suspense enough?
I think you should play it for the listeners because it was very telling when he said, "I remember you."
All right, let me play this because he certainly did remember me. He's got a picture of me on his wall that he looks at inappropriately. But let me do this, and then I'll take some calls. What do you say, Popeye? 866-841-1065. That's the number to join us. This is the raw sound from the footage we took. It will all be on video at our YouTube channel in the near future, sometime tonight or early tomorrow morning. Here it is. Check it out.
Just awareness again.
It's from your grandma. Last time we talked real quick. We talked about Building 7. Did you watch the collapse of that?
Excuse me, don't push me.
Yeah, no, we went through this before. We did. You didn't like the collapse of Building 7? I just don't think that there's any validity.
The fact that anthrax was developed by the military?
It was not developed by the military.
The strand we found wasn't developed by the military?
The person you were just in the panel told us it was.
Anthrax is a naturally recurring substance.
Okay, so here's the first point of contention.
Did he just say weaponized anthrax is a naturally occurring substance?
Yeah, this is when it gets really interesting here. This was the best contradiction of it all. And I'll get to the part where I'm being assaulted shortly, folks. I know you guys all love the drama and the assaults and those sorts of things, but let's stick to the information here. It was very telling, and the reason why I brought up anthrax is because this whole event was 10 years later preparing for a biological 9/11. That was the name of the event, okay? And, of course, it correlated with this movie, whatever the hell it was called, that came out about a biological attack. This hype about the biological attack. He said at some point in the conference, the test was the H1N1 flu. How was the test?
Well, that's what I meant by how convenient that this all comes out around the fear anniversary of 9/11, and it just so happens that he's pushing this bioweapon attack when this movie Contagion just coincidentally happens to get released around the same time period, the weekend of 9/11. But no, there's no connection at all.
None whatsoever. So listen to this. With him at the conference was the head of the Emerging Viruses and Pathogens Department at the University of Florida, a very prominent virologist and whatnot. And in addition to asking him all sorts of questions about HIV/AIDS, which I hope to release in a separate video at some point, I asked him about anthrax. And his response did not exactly match up with what Bob Graham had to say here. Let's see what his second in command here for his little conference here, the head leading experts at the university's Emerging Viruses and Pathogens Department. Here's what happened when I asked him about anthrax and the specific strand that was found to be connected to Fort Detrick's.
Yes, Bob Tuskin, nice to meet you. Hi, good to meet you. I have a quick question about anthrax, which was found shortly after 9/11. It turns out that they tested the strand of anthrax, and it was the same strand that was developed by a certain black ops in our military. Are you familiar with that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, the other question...
Should I play that again? One more time. One more time.
Developed by a certain black ops in our military. Are you familiar with that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Could you catch that, Popeye?
Yeah, he said, unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
And this is the guy that was sharing the panel with him.
He was sharing the panel. He was his second guy in command there. This was him and Bob Graham up on the pedestal.
You think there's a bit of miscommunication maybe between the two of them or something?
Just a slight bit of.
Do you think maybe Bob Graham's just being a lying gatekeeper? I think I'm going to go for B.
Yeah. You know, it's clear to me that they're afraid of answering these tough questions. Now, during the whole talk, they said that Bob Graham mentioned how the nuclear weapons were less likely to attack, that we were less likely to be attacked by nuclear weapons. And that each nuclear weapon, 32,000 of them, or 3,300, whatever the number he said was, has a barcode on it, and it's heavily tracked. I was thinking to myself, what about those bombs that went missing? What happened with those? Those missiles? Did you hear about that? A while back, nuclear bombs went missing. Kind of freaked me out. Well, I thought to myself, after that, when he continues to say that these nuclear bombs aren't going to be the threats, his little minion there, the head of the Emerging Pathogens, or whatever the hell it's called, department at the University of Florida, says, well, actually, these viruses, we also have very specific tracking of. And that all of these viruses are logged into a certain system. So I thought that was very interesting. And that's how, of course, we found out that the strand of anthrax found shortly after 9/11 could be tracked back to Fort Detrick. Is it Detrick, or how do you say it, Popeye? Help me out here.
It's Fort Detrick, Maryland.
Fort Detrick, right?
Yep, and mind you, that's the same place that the guy they framed, and then he supposedly killed himself, the mad doctor, the mad scientist,
right.
And all his scientist friends that work there with him said it's BS, the story is...
Well, let's pick that up when we get back, and some phone calls as well, folks, I promise. 866-841-1065. Alright, folks, we're going to finish things off this segment, and next hour I'll play the clip of, the rest of the clip, I should say, of my confrontation with Bob Graham, and I'll also play the part of me being assaulted by, no, not bodyguards, no, not security guards or the police. In fact, the police were called, folks, and I'll tell you what happened with that next hour. But I was assaulted by the fluoride-drinking, BPA plastic-using numbnuts. Am I allowed to say numbnuts? Was that really bad? Am I going to get emails for that? Popeye, I'm putting my foot in my mouth a bunch tonight. Did you notice that? It's one of those nights. Anyways, let's get to the phone lines so I don't continue to put my foot in my mouth. I don't think that was the most polite way to refer to these people, but geez, I'm at a lack of descriptive words tonight. Descriptive, what do they call that? Is that an adjective? Noun? I was never very good with grammar, as you can tell.
I can tell.
Yeah, right? What was it, a verb? No, I know what a verb is.
Well, there's adverbs, pronouns, yeah, dude, you can just get lost in it all. That's okay. I understand.
We got physics on our side.
You got an education in the public school system, so I understand.
You need to take some more of the grammar part of the trivium stuff. We got grammar, logic, and rhetoric with the trivium.
I like the trivium.
You like it?
Yes, very educating.
Very education.
Yes, very, very enlightening. Does that mean I'm part of the Illuminati because I said the word enlightened?
Yeah, right. Anyway, so we'll be back next hour to talk about that, and we'll play the clip of me being assaulted by the lackeys, and we'll also talk about, whatever else is going on in the news. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Israel. There was a bunch of threats or possible threats. A bunch of planes were grounded. Fighter jets were sent out to escort a plane to land for the 10th anniversary. I know a lot of people were busy for the 10th anniversary, and I want to hear what kind of events you went to or what kind of things you did. So please call me up at 866-841-1065. I want to hear from you. We have open lines the whole show. We're hanging out with Popeye from FederalJack.com, and you at 866-841-1065. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's check out Steve in Wisconsin. What's up, Steve?
Well, what's up is this, Bob. Typically, I listen on downloaded shows, so this is a little different for me. I'm a new caller, but I'm going to be a frequent caller from now on. Things are changing in my life for various reasons. No, okay. I'm not scared. I'm cracking up, actually. I'm having fun. I'm having a heck of a lot of fun talking to you guys. It's really a lot of fun.
Cool, man.
This is a new thing for me, but I had a great weekend. I called into Dougie's show about this in the last hour, on his show. I tried on nonconformity, so it's getting a little late. I'm going to go to bed pretty quick. But, yeah, I'm just having fun. Fun calling into Oracle. Absolutely. I had a fun wake-up experience with my sister-in-law and my brother. Talked to them about 9/11. I'm 47 years old, and they didn't typically want to hear about it. And all of a sudden, now they do. It's great. I mean, I laid it all out for my sister-in-law the other night. I had to haul some wood over there and whatnot this weekend, and had to sit and have supper with them, and it was great. So, have some hope, people. That's what I want to tell you. Have some hope. My family, I haven't woken anybody up. I'm just a guy out here in Amro, Wisconsin, folks, in a little small town out in the country, in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden, my family's waking up where they didn't want to hear it, and now they do. She asked me about it. She heard a conversation the day before that I had with my brother, and she wanted to hear it.
It's amazing when that little light bulb goes off.
It was amazing. That's the point, Bob. Exactly. It was amazing how much she was hungry for the information. And then, well, you know how it is, Bob. Once somebody asks you, she asked me. I didn't bring it up. She asked me, what were you talking? Actually, she heard about I was saying something to them about the PNAC documents, for whatever that's worth. And, okay, now she's all ready. And furthermore, I gave her the American Drug War DVD, and then I said, well, okay, you want to hear about 9/11? I got a DVD for you. It's called Zero. Here you go.
That's a good one.
I don't. Yeah.
You know what I do?
Yeah. Thank you, Lee Rod. Thank you. Shout out to Lee Rogers, man.
Okay, cool,
That's
Steve.
Why I know. Yeah.
Thanks for the call, brother.
Okay, Bob. Yeah, I love you, Bob. Thanks for the Eat the Weed show and that show with Jan Irvin. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, we're going to do Eat the Weed and Smoke the Weeds. Bob Tuskin.
Jack Hare, man.
Got it.
I'm 47 years old. I didn't know about Jack Hare. Because of Jan Irvin's podcast, that's the reason why I got that book.
Oh, The Emperor Has No Clothes?
Yeah, I'm starting to read it, man. Yeah. Do the show, Bob, please. I love you, Bob. Man, I'm 47 years old. If you were my son, I'm so proud of you, Bob. No doubt about it. You got it, man.
All right, Steve.
Person.
Thanks, man. Keep calling. We'd love to hear from callers like yourself, and keep sending me show tips because I do occasionally get a good show tip, and I take you up on your offer. We got an email about Eat the Weeds. I think Steve was the one who sent me that, and we did a show on it. So if I like it, and if it's something that our listeners will like, I will play a clip of, or I will get the guest that you want. So thanks so much, Steve, for the great call. Let's go to another phone line. We got a caller in the 954. What's going on?
Hi, how's it going, Bob?
What's going on, man?
Well, yesterday was a, very crazy day for everybody, doing some sign holding down here in South Florida. And for once we had a lot of positive vibes, positive reaction. In the past we've had people ranting and raving, people pulling weapons on us, people getting violent, and this time, I think a lot more people are starting to wake up. I think we got a lot of positive honks. We got a lot of people staring, and looks like a lot more positive vibes. A lot of people waking up, Bob. But my big thing is a lot of people are gaining knowledge and not doing anything with it. And I want to get some more insight on things we can do to make a stance, put our foot down.
Well, one of the biggest things you can do is get your dependency away from the powers that shouldn't be, and you can do that in many different areas in your life. Dependency of information, if you're no longer dependent on the news for your info, and you're able to think outside the box, do your own research, think for yourself, that's the first step, and it sounds like you've been able to do that, considering that you've been involved as an activist, and you're spreading that awareness now, not just for yourself, but to others with this sort of event. Let's talk about that, Josh. I want to let Popeye answer this question, and let's talk about that. So we'll pick that up in just a moment, because we're coming up to the end of this hour, and we'll also take some more phone calls. So don't go anywhere. It'll just be a quick break, and then we'll come back next hour. We'll talk about that. We'll also play the rest of my assault when I confronted Bob Graham. And in addition to that, I have a big announcement that I want to make at the second hour of tonight's show. So don't go anywhere, folks. Lots of important stuff to talk about. We got Popeye hanging out from federaljack.com. Your phone calls at 866-841-1065. That's toll free. Get out your crayon, write that down. I want to hear from you. 866-841-1065.
Understanding of the insane characters who have gained control of the banking system today. They have totally infiltrated your media, academia, your Congress, and have left not a trace of the truth to be told. That's why I'm so glad I can tune into the Bob Tuskin radio show. The Bob Tuskin radio show.
All right, keep the calls coming, folks. We don't often have open lines, but when we do, I hope to hear from you. 866-841-1065. Don't worry, folks. Nothing crazy happening. I'm not stopping the show. That's not the big announcement, so you can take that out of your heads. We're going to continue to go strong with the Bob Tuskin Show. And unlike SpongeBob SquarePants, which a new study shows that 9 minutes of it can cause learning problems in 4-year-olds, the Bob Tuskin Show is dedicated to showing you the truth and trying to enhance your learning experience, because that's all this is. It's my learning experience that I'm letting you in on. So don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 to come.
In these unpredictable times, you can never be too prepared. Mentally, physically, financially, agriculturally. Real people, real problems, real activism. Welcome to the Bob Tuskin Radio Show with your host, Bob
What else is going on in the world today? Can we talk about something else besides 9/11? I will play, if you're just tuning in, the confrontation with Bob Graham. The rest of it, I played some of it in the first hour. I will play the rest of it. Raw footage, you'll hear it first on the Bob Tuskin Show, and the actual video will be out on our YouTube channel sometime later tonight or early tomorrow morning. But I want to talk about something else. Popeye, what else is going on? You found the clip of a new bureaucratic piece of legislation that is once again trying to crack down on little things that are of no importance, this minutia that, well, they got to keep themselves busy with.
The city of Orlando in Florida is trying to ban
the same idiots, by the way, in Orlando that arrest people for feeding the hungry. Go ahead.
Yes, the very same people are trying to ban smoking in outdoor parks because it's for the safety of the children, of course, which people are worried that it's going to lead to them trying to ban it anywhere outside. I mean, you can't smoke inside of places, and now, all the smokers have to congregate. Now, I don't smoke. I'm a
nor do
smoker, but I quit smoking over 5 years ago.
Cigarettes, anyways.
Yeah, but it's healthy. I got to tell you, it's one of the best things I ever did. But I understand people's right to smoke. I don't try to interfere. If you want to smoke, there's plenty of information out there that tells you how bad it is for you. If you want to smoke, that's your decision. Okay, I'm not going to try to take that away from you, but I don't think the government should step in and have the right to do so, whether or not they're trying to protect you or as their favorite thing. Their favorite excuse is always to protect the kids. Mind you, most politicians are involved with pedophilia one way or another. They always get caught, So, like, what is it? 2 and 5 usually get caught, which I would probably probably say 5 and 5 are actually involved. So, look up the whole Boys Town thing, the Franklin cover-up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, for them to come out and say, "Oh, it's to protect the kids," right? Like, you care about kids. Don't even try that crap. It's a lie. When they come out and say it's to protect the children, just know they're lying. All right, that's the fourth biggest lie.
Everything I do is for the children, Popeye.
Right, there you go.
I'm serious. It's not just for my children. It's for my children's children.
Well, see, I do it for the future. Like, I'm not really going to gain from what I do, and but the future. Hopefully, I can leave the future generations of this planet a much, much better place than I was given when I was a child, and that we have right now. Because if we don't make it better, it's just going to get worse. And if people think that it's really screwed up now, this isn't anything.
Buckle your seatbelts, folks. It's the Bob Tuskin Show. Popeye will talk about some other news stories. Israel's been really in the news. A lot about Israel has really been in the news.
Boots on the ground in Libya, Bob. Just
Boots
so you
on
know,
the ground
Pentagon confirms.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Boots on the ground in Libya.
Boots in the ground, boots in the ground. We called that months ago. All right, folks, and we'll also take some more phone calls. 866-841-1065. Why aren't you calling me? Huh? What, you think I'd bite? You heard the last caller. He had so much fun he could hardly contain himself. I want to hear from you. 866-841-1065. We'll play my confrontation, more from a confrontation, I should say. And I'll also make a big announcement that I want everyone to hear and everyone to get the word out for. So please, if you can, promote so that a lot of people hear what I have to say. The more people that hear it, the more safe I am and my family is. All right, Papa, what should we do next? Should we play the rest of the clip?
Both work.
Yeah, you think so?
Might as well finish it up. Let the listener,
What are you eating? What are you eating? Something good?
Yeah, I'm chewing on a pretzel.
You always are eating those pretzels, dude.
Hmm?
Popeye lives off of pretzels and cans of spinach.
Let me tell you something, spinach is not as tasty as you think it is.
Well, if you're Popeye, it is.
Let me tell you a little quick story. When I was a kid, I made my mother take me to the store to get spinach because I had to have my spinach. I wanted to be like Popeye in the cartoon. Yeah, guess what? That didn't work out too well. I took the spinach home, opened it, and I ate it raw right out of the can like he does. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Let me tell you something.
So, As a kid, you went by Popeye?
I've had this nickname since I was rather young. Yes, probably. I not when I was a real little kid. I always liked Popeye. I just liked how he ate the spinach and became super strong and then went and kicked everybody's butt. But I acquired the nickname probably in my late teens.
By the way, Popeye's real name is Bob Labinowitz. He's a crypto Jew.
Oh, God, that's it. They're all going to come after me now.
Yeah, he really works for the Mossad. And who is Popeye? Who knows? He came out of nowhere. Must be shady.
Well, the same could be said about you, Bob.
Oh, yeah, my real name? Bob Tuskinowitz.
I thought it was Tuskin Stein.
Tuskin Stein, yeah, that's right.
See, now you're changing your name on air already. See, Bob is shady.
All right, before we get in any more trouble here with our little inside jokes and banter, why don't we go to the rest of this confrontation that I had with Senator Bob Graham, the co-chairman of the 9/11 Commission on 9/11.
Bob Grahamenstein.
The 10th anniversary. Here we go. Bob Grahamstein, and this was me talking with him at the Bob Grahamstein Foundation Shabbat dinner. Here we go.
Hey, Senator Graham, last time you said you have a pass.
Uh-oh. Here we go. False alarm. Here it comes. Bear with me. Here we go. Oh, fast forward a little bit more.
Quick question.
Oh, they're pressed for time. Here we go.
Civil service.
All right, here we go. Fast forward. I should have had it queued up. Sorry, guys. A little more. A little more. A little more.
I don't know.
A little more.
I'm very inquisitive. You need me. I'm asking you questions.
All right.
Everything is in here?
Here it comes.
This is the entire thing? This is the entire story of the conspiracy?
That leads you to the website.
There we go.
Find out more.
Really.
And I'll have more information. Just awareness. Again.
Yeah. Hey, Senator Graham, last time we talked real quick, we talked about Building 7. Did you watch the collapse of that?
Excuse me, don't push me.
Yeah, no, we went through this before. We did. You didn't like the collapse of Building 7? I just don't think that there's any validity.
The fact that anthrax was developed by the military?
It was not developed by the military.
The strand we found wasn't developed by the military?
The person you were just in the panels with told us it was.
Anthrax is a naturally recurring substance from dead bovines, primarily.
That's misinformation, sir. That's not actual fact.
The word anthrax means Siberian boil. That's where they first.
Is there a reason why you're touching me?
Don't touch him. That's insult.
You know you're not getting on that. Was about the Building 7 report not being mentioned.
This is when the guy's
Free
got
fall
his hand
speed,
around my
sir.
neck.
How can a 47-story building fall in at free fall speed in less than 6 seconds? Hey, don't touch him. That's assault, sir.
Assault here, and we're documenting
Call
this.
the police.
Call the cops. That's fine. You know what? I know. You're the police, right? I recognize you. No, you don't. Let's call him. This is the example. That's assault, sir. That is.
And that's where it so dramatically cuts off as he grabs the cameraman in typical fashion. Wait until you see the footage. It's one of those things you gotta kind of see. I mean, I was surrounded by these guys. And then they called the cops. They had the audacity to call the police on me when they assaulted me. Now, a lot of people...
Because you're obviously a terrorist, Bob.
Obviously. I asked questions.
Your shirt said investigate 9/11. Doesn't that mean that anybody that questions the official story is a bad guy?
Must be. I did wear a shirt that said investigate 9/11. Heavens forbid. So here's the question, Popeye. The police then come, okay? Now, I was assaulted. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't do anything except walk towards an elevator, try to get on an elevator with another public citizen, okay? Did nothing. I was restricted from entering that elevator. Okay, I was trying to enter the elevator, and I was then assaulted. Here's the question. These schmucks had the audacity to call the police on me. What would you have done? The police then show up. We meet them outside of the hall. and they walk up to us. They didn't ask us for IDs. They said, hey, what's going on? So I told them. I told them exactly what I told you. I said, officer, the irony here is that they may have called you in reference to us, when, in fact, we should have called you for them, perhaps. But I don't want to waste my time or energy pressing charges on the people that assaulted me. If I wanted to, I could have beat the crap out of the guy for putting his hands on me.
Yeah, I give you credit, Bob, because in the state of Florida, we have the legal right to defend ourselves when assaulted. And you were clearly assaulted. That guy putting his hand and his arm around your neck. Personally, I think you showed restraint, because myself, I wouldn't have showed restraint. And, you know, I'm almost 10 years older than you, and I still wouldn't have shown restraint. I probably would have wrenched that guy's arm out of his socket at the very least, or at least broken his wrist, teach him not to put his hands on me. But that's me personally. You, I have to give you a lot of credit, because I wouldn't have been able to control myself as calmly as you did. You did the right thing. You called it out, you brought attention to it, and you documented it. So Bob did do the right thing.
We had it all on film. We had nothing to hide, and that's what we told the cops. And here's what happened, okay? I ended up saying, thank you for protecting your oath to the Constitution and the First Amendment, and I handed them a 9/11 Truth pamphlet. And we talked truth with them. We talked oath-keeping and so forth. Now, what would you have done? I want to open up the phone lines once again to hear from you. What would you have done? Would you, A, beat the crap out of the guy, B, press charges on him and get him arrested, or try to get him arrested, or C, do what I did? Sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles, and sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. Because I didn't beat the crap out of the guy or press charges, I don't want you to take that the wrong way and think that by any means I was trying to be Pollyannish. But what would you have done? Call me up, 866-841-1065. We have completely open lines. Get out your crayons. Write down this phone number. I want to hear from you. What would you have done? Would you have kicked the guy's butt? What would you have done? 866-841-1065. I want to take a couple phone calls when we get back next segment, and then we'll continue to talk about this and my special announcements still to come. 866-841-1065. All right, so let's jump right back into this. I want to take a few phone calls, and then I want to move on, and then we'll get to my announcements next segment of our show today. I got a big announcement. I hope you are there to hear it. 866-841-1065. Come on, I want to hear from you. What would you have done? I need your take on this. I want to get your feedback. Would you have beat the crap out of the guy? Would you have non-violently, resisted and then called the cops and reported them for assault, get them arrested? Or do you just turn the other cheek? What do you do? Call me up. We don't bite. I want to get your take on this or anything else that you want. We do have open lines the entire program in addition to hanging out with Popeye from federaljack.com. So please, call me up. I want to get your take. Get out your crayon. Write down this number, 866-841-1065. All right, let's go back to Broward, area code 954. What would you have done?
All right, Bob. First of all, I got to give you a lot of commemoration for doing what you did and handling it the way you did. First of all,
commemoration? What am I, dead?
I would have, you videotaped the whole thing. That's what you have to do. And then I would have known my rights in the state of Florida and defended myself, but I made sure videotaping it. And then I would have videotaped the arrival of the police, and then I would have shown them the video of what happened, told them my side, press charges fully for the assault, and then I would try to continue my questioning of the senator.
So you're of the school of thought that I should have beat him up, I should have, not beat him up, I should take that back. I should have
defend yourself.
Defended myself.
As soon as you were done defending yourself and your own safety, then you shouldn't have assaulted him further. No, just defend yourself. Get him off of you.
Well, I defended myself without having to really beat the guy up or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Popeye? I kind of just shrugged him off. They weren't. I mean, Popeye, how far can you go with that? What's defense in that situation? They weren't really attacking me per se.
He put his hands on you. The way the law actually reads it is this, Bob. There's two things. It's called assault and battery. Assault is if I get within your 3-foot personal space. The law says that you have a 3-foot circumference around you that is your personal space. If I violate that personal space, okay, now this is, of course, this is going by their whole admiralty law, court system and everything, but natural law, that doesn't matter. I don't need any law to tell me I can defend myself. But even according to their laws, the law society's laws, okay, you have a 3-foot personal zone around you. If I violate that 3-foot personal zone, even if I do not touch you, if I violate that, and if I get in your face, and I'm within an inch of your face, and I say, I'm going to kick your little truther rear end, Bob, okay, if I get up in your face like that, that's assault. Battery is when I put my hands on you. So he could have gone to jail and gotten arrested for assault and battery. That's why it's two different things. Okay? When he put his hands on you, which he did, when you look at the video, he put his arm in front of you and he had his arm around your neck. Now, me personally, I don't handle people putting their hands on me very well, and I don't like people getting in that kind of proximity to my head or my face. So I personally, like I said, I would have put his arm behind his back at least. And when I say I would have put his arm behind his back, his wrist, the top of the back of his wrist that faces outwards would have been up even with the back of his head. I would have pulled his shoulder right out of his socket purposely because it would have been almost like an instinctive reaction to do so. Okay. But you handled yourself I'm going to tell you what, this is from, I got almost 10 years on you. You handled yourself like a man. Okay. You really did. I got to give you credit because you didn't let the guy get you flustered. You called it out. Your friends did the right thing because they called it out. They were all videotaping it. You had witnesses. I mean, the guy, he was threatening to call the cops, and what'd he do? He put his cell phone back in his pocket because he knew he was in the wrong. That's why. He touched you. He violated your rights.
But then they actually did call the cops.
Which was stupid because they would have been the ones going to jail. If all you had to do was say to the guy, I want that little fat guy over there in the corner to go to jail, and look at the video.
They looked at me and they said, well, when I said to him real quick early on that, look, I could have pressed charges against them, but I don't want to waste my time. And they looked at me relieved. They said, oh, good. They don't want to do more paperwork over this sort of BS.
Dude, cops don't want to do paperwork, and I'm not making fun of them when I say that. I just know a lot of cops. I have friends that are police officers, and they tell me if they don't have to do the paperwork, they don't, because they don't want to do it.
So, all right. Well, Josh, any final comments?
I think that you handled yourself like an adult, and I feel like you did the most admirable thing, and I just feel like, Bob, next time, make sure you keep them out of your 3-foot space.
3-foot space. Well, that was kind of hard. It was a little crowded, and who knows. All right. Well, thanks, folks. I appreciate everyone's help. If you want to jump in, you still can. We do have a few open lines, 866-841-1065. If not, I'd like to move on, unless there's anything else we can think of here that we need to cover in this vein.
I think you pretty much covered it all, Bob, and you did the right thing. You showed you when people see the video, they'll see how you handled yourself. Again, I'll agree with the caller. You did the right thing. Everybody has to. Nobody should try to judge you why you reacted or how you reacted, because they have to put themselves into your shoes and into that situation. And every situation is different. You can't say, "Oh, I would have done this for every situation," because no, you wouldn't. Every situation is different. If you're going to be intelligent about it, you handle the situation, each one as they come. And I think you did a good job. So kudos. If you had decided to fight, maybe you could have gotten arrested. Who knows? You both would have gone and taken a ride. Doesn't matter who was doing what. And then it kind of nullifies your position now. If you ever want to go try to talk to Bob Graham again, he's going to say, oh, here's that guy that started a fight the last time he was here. So you did the right thing.
Well, there was a concerted effort to prevent me from speaking to him.
The dude in the black shirt next to you kept elbowing you and shouldering you and stuff. And, dude, he was eyeballing you. He kept, looking at you. You could see the video. He's trying to look at you out of the corner of his eye.
He was the most suspicious of them all. In fact, he was very, very abrasive. In fact, afterwards, he tried to get me to talk to him. He said, hey, Bob, it's here. I may or may not include that in the footage that I released to the public, but in the raw footage, it says, hey, Bob, because I introduced myself. You know, I don't give a crap. I'm Bob Tuskin. BobTuskin.com, for crying out loud, is my website. And I said, and I introduced myself to him early on, and he called me after the confrontation with Bob Grimm. He says, hey, Bob, why don't you come here? And he looked like he was coming closer to me so that he could try to sucker punch me. And I said, no. And I backed up from him and walked away from the guy. But he was the most suspicious of them all.
Yeah, and I saw that video.
Would not be surprised if he was some sort of...
agent provocateur, dude.
Yeah.
That's like classic. Because that guy, you showed me the video footage and you asked me what I thought about it. And you can see him looking, your one friend had the video angle. He had a really good angle because you can see the guy and he's trying to make it look like he's not looking at you. And you can see him eyeballing you out of the corner of his eye. Like
they all were. The organizers were. Every single one of them was eyeballing me. And on 2 occasions, they took away both Dr. Morris, who was the pathogens guy, and Bob Graham away from me. All of a sudden, somehow something came up and they took them away from me and interrupted my interviews with them, which was not a big surprise. And in addition to that, that same creepy guy, well, Papa, I didn't play you this, but early on we talked, him and I looked at him and I said, are you a student here? And he looks at me with the most MK Ultra stare that I've ever seen, and he says, do I look like a student? Folks, we'll be right back. Bob Tuskin Show. My special announcement coming up in just a moment after we take a quick break. I want you guys to be there for that, so please bear with us through these quick commercials, and then we'll pick it up. We'll also take some more phone calls if you have any news that you'd like to go over. I have a few articles about Israel and the Mossad. They're busy in action, and we'll talk about some of the threats that happened. Try to talk about something besides 9/11. Call me up, 866-841-1065. Major announcement when we come back. Okay, 866-841-1065. I want to hear from you. Toll-free number. Get up your pen, write that down. 866-841-1065. Got a few stories about Israel going on. Seems Egypt and Turkey have come together to isolate Israel and to shun them for their crimes against humanity. Are we not talking about Israel enough for you? Or do we talk about it too much? Have you been to my website recently? At BobTuskin.com, I post daily news there. And I often highlight the human rights violations of Israel and the Zionist crime family. Zionist crime families, I should say. So we'll talk about that. We'll also take some phone calls. 866-841-1065. Popeye's hanging out with us. Popeye, what were we talking about during the break? I can't remember. There was something I wanted to bring up.
We were discussing a few things, but I know we were discussing that movie War by Deception, and somebody actually commented in the chat room about it, about that kid Ryan Dawson, and
oh yeah, they took his video down from YouTube.
Yep, and it wasn't anti-Semitic, by the way. It just
unlike Mike Delaney in Pro Things film.
Yeah, but see, that kind of crap they'll leave up. But the real stuff they pulled down. You see how they play it?
It was great. He got mentioned by the ADL in this hit piece they did, and I was a little jealous. I was happy for him. We made the Southern Poverty Law Center list, and well, that may be a good segue to my announcement tonight. But I'm going to hold off until a little bit later in this segment to let it out of the bag. But yeah, the ADL mentioned him, and on the day of 9/11. They take his video down, and he's the wrong guy to piss off. I tell you what, he is a prolific producer of content.
Dude, I gotta say, he is, I guess you could say a YouTube movie maker. And if they think that by ripping his video down, that's gonna shut him up, I really don't think so. Like, to me, and I don't know him personally, but just from, his movies and his videos they've done, he looks like the kind of person that if they do that, it's just going to piss him off and make him do it even harder, which is what I do when they take my YouTube accounts down. So, I mean, it it doesn't stop us.
Yeah.
It just pisses us off and makes us want to do it even more.
Well, how many YouTube accounts have you gone through?
I'm on the 9th one now. I have 3 of them that are active. Oh, no, excuse me, 4 of them. 4 working, and 5 of them that have been torpedoed and sunk. The fastest one I ever had taken out only lasted like 2 months, literally. You want to talk about dogging me? But no, they don't keep an eye on you. No. But you can, if you're like Rebecca Black and you upload a video like that, that gets millions of hits. It's on the front page of YouTube. If I put up a video about maybe possibly curing cancer or Rick Simpson hemp oil or building 7.
Oh, you can't have that.
Oh no, God forbid, Bob. That would be freedom of speech. We can't have that here in the United States of America with a K. So,
yeah.
I feel bad that they deleted his video. I mean, I don't want to say I feel bad. I mean, it's the wrong way to say it, but I know how it feels to be him right now. Like, I know how he must have felt when he went into his account and that video was gone. He must have been highly pissed off, and I gotta say that sucks. And that just means, dude, I'm sure Ryan listens to your show, and I know you've talked to him before. Dude, that sucks what they did to you, but just, keep on keeping on, do what you gotta do, fight them harder, and I would take it as a badge of honor that they're coming after you the way they are, because that means that you struck a nerve. See, if they leave you alone, it means they don't care about you. They might keep an eye on you, but if they're not messing with you some way or another for at least a brief period of time, on and off, then you're not doing something right. When they come after you the way that they are, that's how you know that you're doing something right. So just keep doing what you're doing, dude, because obviously you're pissing off the right people.
Yep, good job. We'll have him on the show, actually. We may have to pre-record it because he's in Japan, but we're going to have him on. We were expecting to have him for our special, but we had to reschedule till next week or so. So we'll have him on. Hey, 866-841-1065 is the number to join us. Popeye, do you remember the DC Madam?
Oh, yeah, the chick that, famously went on Jones's show and said that if they find me dead and they say I committed suicide, I was murdered, and then they found her dead 2 weeks later and they say she committed suicide, yeah.
Well, she not only went on Jones, she went on Coast to Coast AM, which was where I heard her say that, and she said it in front of millions of people.
Plus, Wayne Madsen knew her, too, very well, and
right.
He said the same thing. She told him the same thing.
So she was suicided. She hung herself, supposedly.
Which they found her hanging in her mom's shed or something.
Very uncommon. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, because people never get suicided ever. You notice it's always a gunshot to the back. Well, 2 gunshots to the back of the head, or
overdose.
Hanging. Yeah, or once in a while the overdose thing they've done in the past, but for some reason they like doing the whole shotgun to the back of the head thing. I mean, they were with JFK witnesses that had that happen to them. Bill Clinton's buddy, the one that witnessed all the Waco stuff, Vince Foster, they did the same thing to him. That other guy that was investigating the independent reporter, I forget his Gary Webb, I think was his name. He gets shot. Oh, he killed himself. How did he kill himself? He shot himself in the back of the head twice. How do you? First of all, if you're going to kill yourself, no one holds the gun to the back of their head.
No.
Okay, let's get real. They put it in their mouth. Okay, or they put it to the side of their head. And 2, how are you going to shoot yourself twice in the back of the head? You think one time blows your brains out, you're not going to have enough cognitive motor function to be able to pick the gun up and do it a second time. But I'm supposed to believe it.
You shot him twice in the head?
Yeah, they shot him twice in the back of the head. They said he did it to himself. Yeah. Like, boom, oh man, I didn't do it good enough. Boom.
Oh,
really?
Sure.
You don't think the first time would have maybe shut down most of your cognitive motor functions? No, because that doesn't happen, right? I'm just going with science. I'm sorry. Biology. Popeye, why do you rely on science?
Well, Popeye, before we digress too much here, okay, the reason why I bring up the DC Madam, and as you pointed out, she went on air telling millions of people, and Alex Jones on Coast to Coast, and despite what you may think of those programs, they have a large audience, okay? And she said, I will not commit suicide. And she suicided herself. She got suicided, as I like to call it. So, here's the announcement. Okay, here's the segue to my announcement, and take it for whatever it's worth. Now, I've been doing this for some time now. For the last, 3 years. I've been pretty public about my views as an activist in my community, on the radio, on the internet. And I really was never afraid at any moment of all this. I'm still not afraid. But I do think that it is a wise contingency plan to make an announcement about my plans for the future. And I want to make some things very clear and on the record for my tiny audience and the 13 listeners of my show. I've told this to my parents. I've told it to friends of mine. But since you guys are all my friends and parents and loved ones, in a way, I want to tell it to you. I'm not suicidal. If I'm going to commit suicide, or if I'm reported dead because of suicide, I was suicided. I'm never going to hurt myself or anyone else. Anyone else. I love even the most scummy of scumbags and will not put a finger on them. I don't want to wish any violence on anyone, not even a cockroach. So not only will I not in any way, shape, or form hurt a human being, myself, I won't even step on a cockroach. I promise. I'm 100% happy with my life. I'm not depressed. I have no problems, no delusions of grandeur. Nothing is wrong. I love what I do. I love speaking truth to power. I love waking up people, getting people motivated to do something about this mess we're in and to step up. The bottom line is, folks, just a heads up. I want to make it clear, because the more out in the open I am, the better. Now, what has inspired this announcement? You might be wondering. Well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on that, but let's just say I'm working on things behind the scenes that are a little bit more sensitive than the average shows we do, perhaps. But don't worry, it's all being documented, it's all on the record. It's in multiple places. If they take me out, folks, don't worry, because they can't take all of us out. It's the Bob Tuskin Show. We'll be right back with our final segment and any final phone calls.
Sleep. Stay asleep. Obey. When he looks at it with his eyes, it's what we see. When he looks at it with sunglasses, he's seeing the same things all the way through. The subliminal symbolically you couldn't see. Obey. No independent thought. Don't listen to yourself.
That's right, folks. Wear your sunglasses at night. I'm going to have to start wearing a bulletproof vest, maybe, Popeye. It'd be really dramatic. I got the bulletproof hair already. Seriously.
Yeah, your hair is woven so tight, Bob, that it probably could stop a bullet.
Oh, man. Hey, so I appreciate everyone's support. Don't worry, guys. Everything's all right. Just working on some stuff, and I wanted to make it clear that, hey, I'm stable, I'm happy, love you guys, and I won't hurt anyone or myself, okay? So if I'm suicided, you know something's up. Hey, 866-841-1065. I want to take some final phone calls. We'll wrap things up. We'll get Popeye's take on what's going on. We'll ask him what he's got going on for his program that he does 3 days a week. And so much more for the final segment of tonight's show. And boy, did it go by fast. I got to get to work on the video footage. I will release that sometime tonight of my assault and confrontation with Bob Graham, the co-chairman of the 9/11 Commission, and a real gatekeeping piece of you-know-what. That was on 9/11 and the 10th anniversary, 2011. By the way, if you want to message me, you can do so at the website bobtuskin.com, Tuskin. Just go to the upper right-hand corner. You'll see a little about thingamajiggy or something like that, and it'll let you fill out a little email, and you just press submit, and then I get it directly. I read all the emails. Might not get back to everyone, but I do read them all. And I also want to thank all of our affiliates, AM 1630 out of Albany, Georgia. I want to thank you guys for picking up the show. Micro Broadcasting, 1650. Of course, the Orion Talk Radio Network, Oracle Broadcasting. I want to thank our affiliates all around the country. We've got a lot of great micro broadcasters that pick up the show. Thank you for making this happen. All right, Popeye, what do you say we go back to the phone calls? 866-841-1065, unscreened, which, who knows what we're going to get here. This might be, this might be scary. Unscreened phone calls. So if you want to call us up and disagree with us on something, please, this is your opportunity. We don't screen out people that disagree with us. So that's not why I say that.
Yeah, just don't be a douche.
Well, if you're a troll, I guess I should say, call up. No. We don't want to hear from the trolls, but we want to get people that disagree with us, because I love those phone calls. I love the people that are just so asinine that we have to talk to them, right, Popeye? I mean, as a host, that's some of the moments we look forward to each day when we do the show.
Sometimes phone calls can be interesting, Pop.
Sometimes. I rarely do it. But here, let's go to the phone lines. Restricted caller, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
I got my pubes shaved in a fade.
Oh, God.
And there you go. That is a perfect example of being a douchebag. It's a perfect example. That's why sometimes it's good to bring on the,
And then I get people
calls.
who complain, and they say, Bob, why did you cut him off?
Because why? That's not intelligent conversation. See, that's called somebody calling in to troll your show, and what they want is to derail the host from what they're talking about and have them focus on them. Okay? It's just trolls. And it's either one of two things. It's either just some kid that's bored sitting in his house, or sometimes it's other loser wannabe radio show hosts that have nothing better to do, and they sit around and they troll other radio shows when they're not on the air. That's pretty pathetic. But there are a bunch of losers that do that. So, what are you going to do? Yeah. And sometimes once in a while, you actually might get a government idiot that might call up and be a putz. Sometimes you get that too.
This guy held it on the line here for 30 minutes to tell me that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how pathetic is that? That's how you know these people are losers. Because they'll sit and wait around for 30 minutes to pull off some stupid little prank. And all it does is expose how much of a loser you are. I mean, and Bob, you should take it as a compliment, because somebody sits around thinking about you that much.
Well, a lot of people have a hard-on for me, it seems. The trolls do anyways.
Yeah, you really are a troll magnet. People don't.
I wish I was as big of a babe magnet as I was troll magnet.
Maybe they're jealous of you and your hair, Bob.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah, I usually find when people attack, I've been attacked like that by people in my life, and usually those people were jealous of me one way or another. Whether they were jealous of my position, maybe because I worked with them, or they were jealous of just my personality and how people I can get along with a rock. So if people are going to get mad at you, people are going to be jealous of you because you are you. You take it as a compliment. That's what I would do. People act like that, take it as a compliment, because they're jealous of you and they're unoriginal and they're petty human beings. And it's really pathetic and it's sad.
Well, on that note, Popeye, do we have any other phone calls? No, I don't think so. So only that one schmendrick called up to say that crap about nothing? Are you kidding me? This is why I don't take phone calls. This is exactly why I don't take phone calls. Because I get phone calls that I love them. I love the calls, and they bring up insightful stuff. And heck, my listeners are a hell of a lot smarter than I am half the time.
I've invited skeptics to call up my show and come on, dude. I invited, Blaskowitz, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name, but Bob over there. I invited him on multiple times. He said in a video response to me that he won't come on my show because he doesn't feel that my listeners are respectful enough, because a couple YouTube commenters, okay? So apparently idiots that make random comments on YouTube, okay, on a YouTube video, now represent the, hundreds and hundreds of people that will listen to a live broadcast, and the thousands that end up listening to the archived broadcast. And they're all lumped in with crazy nuts and, anti-Semitic, all because of one or two comments on a YouTube video. So it's pathetic, and it's just, again, he steers stuff in that direction purposely. That's a perfect example of steering people away from the truth. They don't want you to pay attention to what's going on. They'd rather baffle you with BS. Make arguments about stuff that's not there. Bring up fictional arguments.
We got another call here. John Preston. Save the day, John. We got a minute for you. What's up?
All right, gentlemen. Just a little tip from a fellow patriot. Look, these trolls, it goes more than just, you're right, Popeye. Yeah, sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes boredom. But you have to remember, when it all comes down to it, they are very empty. They are very empty. And I know you two know, in this alternative movement, there are other people, like hosts and stuff, who are empty as well. So, these people, that's what they do. That's what makes them feel good about themselves, makes them get up in the morning. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, John, but I don't want to hear about it. John, I really don't want to hear about it. Thanks for the call. I appreciate your intention. We spend way too much time talking about the troll, and I got 30 seconds here. I didn't mean to let you go, but we got to run. Hey, Popeye, you got your shows on the Orion Talk Radio Network, federaljack.com, Down the Rabbit Hole. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. Really appreciate it, buddy. Always great to have you. Thank you to all the callers that did call up with some content. And look out for the video footage of my confrontation. It should be on the web shortly.
I feel so sorry for you youngsters today. At least back in the 30s, after the Rothschilds, Warburgs, and Rockefellers robbed the American economy, many of us had some understanding of the unsavory characters who had gained control of the banking system. Today, they have totally infiltrated your media, academia, your Congress, and have left not a trace of the truth to be told. That's why I'm so glad I can tune into the Bob Tuskin radio show. The Bob Tuskin radio show.
The fastest 2 hours in Truth Radio. It's the Bob Tuskin Show. But don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow night with more. We got Mark Dankoff coming on for a full show Thursday on Israel, Iran, and so much more. We'll talk with Mark Dankoff Thursday's show coming up. Lots more guests scheduled for the month of September after 30-plus guests last week. Can you believe it? We're going to have a different guest every segment for the rest of the month. No, I'm joking. Could you imagine how crazy that would get? All right, folks. I hope that you guys are now 10 years later, the day after the 10th anniversary of 9/11, going to move on, in a sense, and do something about the situation we're in. Get ready, get prepared. We'll be back tomorrow.